Alright, welcome back, everyone. Did you miss me, motherfuckers? First of all, I want to say, I hate this band, Coal Chamber. They're a metal band, and they suck. This is actually the clothes that I sleep in, believe it or not. I sleep in a Coal Chamber shirt, even when in my pajamas I wear all black. So, where have I been? I got a new job, so my shoulder is being saved. I will no longer have a pinched nerve in my shoulder, so that's the good thing. The bad side is that I'm working chaotic hours, and finding time to record videos has become somewhat of a struggle. But I'll get it figured out. I'm pretty sure of that. I will get it figured out eventually, somehow. But recently, like with the job change and everything, it's got me thinking about something. And, you know, with like the political arguments that go back and forth on YouTube and everything, I started thinking, like, everybody, like, has been in an uproar about the whole Little Mermaid being black thing. And I basically just couldn't give a shit less. I don't like Disney cartoons, and I want to be very specific about that, cartoons. I do like Pirates of the Caribbean, but I don't like any of the Disney cartoons. There hasn't been a Disney cartoon that I've seen that I've liked, that I want to watch over and over again. And honestly, these are fictional pieces, and it wouldn't matter what race or sexual orientation or whatever, blah, 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 you want to make it. The storyline doesn't really change. And that's the thing that makes the story, is the conflicts that arise, the character development, I suppose, goes into it. Like, I mean, you wouldn't want to do a period piece based on, like, let's say, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and have a trans white woman that's really tall and skinny playing him. That doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, just the same as you don't want a short, fat trans female to portray me. If you were to make a biography about me, that person playing me as my character would be, well, silly. It'd be weird. It wouldn't be, well, it'd just be silly. It would look goofy, and it would not look like something you could take seriously. But that has to do with historical accuracy, blah, 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 blah. But when you're talking about complete and utter fiction, it really doesn't matter at all. Replace it with pretty much damn near anything. But basically the right was like, the Little Mermaid is black and that's problematic. And the left says the right has a problem with Little Mermaid being black and that's problematic. So everything sounds like feminist frequency, as Thunderfoot went through feminist frequency not too long ago, and pretty much summed up all of her videos as this is problematic, that is problematic, everything is problematic. Well, that's what I see from the alt-right, too. It's like, children knowing about homosexuals existing is problematic. Pride t-shirts that children seeing two guys or two girls holding hands, well, that's problematic. Well, it's the same with the extreme left, too. Anything that isn't politically correct is automatically problematic. And I started thinking to myself, wait a minute here. With everything that's going on, whether you're on the right or the left, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay? With everything that's going on, I think the left and the right probably disagree on the particular legislations, although there are some legislations that Trump is passing that I think the left and the right would agree, I would say, are kind of funky. And on top of that, Arkansas is going back on Roe v. Wade and attacking females' bodily autonomy rights. And there's a big push against LGBT rights. And there's all this, like, stuff going on. But we want to go on the internet and we want to argue about The Little Mermaid. Real important issue, guys. Real important issue. And I also started to think about where we are as a society. Now, I don't know about European culture, and I know I do have some people from Europe that do follow my channel, and I am glad to have them because you guys provide me some very significant insight into your guys' country. And I know that they keep basing... They keep putting out news reports saying, oh, there's more jobs open. Trump has made more jobs available. And just to let you know, they're basing that off of the Dow Jones. They're basing it off the stock market exchange, which is a terrible, terrible measurement of job availability. But in a sense, yes, they're right. There are more jobs available. But there is a significant problem in that they're all like warehouse, customer service, fast food kind of jobs. Like, you could spend 5 years in college getting a really good education and end up working for a fast food company or working for a warehouse or distribution center. There's a lot of places you'll end up going where you'll be nowhere close to what you studied to become. And then I thought, well, isn't that kind of the whole purpose behind these societies we created? And I think this is true for all Western societies, is that you have a dream, you have an aspiration, and you do things to strive towards that. Well, that's dead. And I started thinking, about the AnCap philosophy. Don't we kind of already have that a little bit, this kind of AnCap, anarcho-capitalist, where deregulation across the board. And what have we seen from deregulation across the board? Well, everything is becoming privatized. Taco Bell, or Yum Brands, which would be Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and KFC, and Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's. The corporates have all sold their stores to franchise owners. And so we're seeing a huge spike in private ownership of these companies, not ran by CEOs and shareholders and the like. And what I'm hearing time and time again, regardless of where they fall on the political spectrum, is, and this is multiple companies across the board, is that this company used to take care of their people, like they cared about us. But now it seems like all they care about is profit. Well, that only addresses one of the issues, and that certainly is an issue, and it would seem that, I don't know what happened, but something has happened where the companies that are around are no longer really taking care of the people that work for them. And I don't know that it's so much that they're concerned with the bottom line. I mean, the companies, whether they're corporate or independently owned, they're always going to be worried about the bottom line. The thing is that I think that certain regulations have made it more difficult, especially with the United States trying to mimic the social program of having a national health care service like our European kin. And we totally screwed the pooch on that one, and basically what came out of it was the same way that our car insurance operates, is that it was mandatory and all these different elements could contribute to your costs going up. And it was like, no, that's not the answer. Although the one thing that they did change that was a good idea and was cool is that pre-existing conditions had to be covered. But they made health insurance mandatory. Yes, over here, people who live in Europe, over here in the United States, car insurance is mandatory. And if you don't have it, you have to go in front of a judge, and you could face a fine if you don't have car insurance. Even if you haven't been in a car accident, you could face a fine for not having car insurance, and they'll up your premium. Isn't that fun? I know that there's a lot of European countries, they don't mandate car insurance. But it's a good idea to have, unless you're really, really rich. So, we have this strange thing going on over here in the United States. First of all, like, if you're trained in something like, and I'm going to use me for an example, philosophy, psychology, environmental science, biology, and I've even done a lot of work with photography. We're talking 2 years work with photography and artistic classes, as well as I've also had some training in the medical field. All right, I don't work in anything to do with any of those things. Any of it. None of it. And then the internet happened. And it seemed like a way out. You have that dream, that aspiration of, I'm going to follow my dream and my aspiration to become something that I want to be. I don't mind working 70 hours or 50 hours a week, but I want it to be something that I have passion for. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people who do work in warehouse and distribution, customer service, and fast food, and et cetera, that do take passion in their job, and there is nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to belittle them for wanting to do that as a living. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people really do enjoy it, and they're really good at it. But I seem to be really good at being a contrarian and dichotomizing ideas. And that was something I saw that could be a marketable trait looking at YouTube and looking at the internet. Then the alt-left and the alt-right happened, where the alt-right was like, this stuff is problematic, and the alt-left said, this stuff is problematic, that's right. Alt-left and alt-right, you are both responsible for this. Both, with your spats back and forth and your problematic crap. Everything is problematic. Let's not have a discussion about it. It's just a problem. And then I started to realize, that because of that, first of all, because of this whole back and forth, everything is problematic, PC culture, political correctness, silencing, anti-free speech, blah, 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 trollery, all that kind of shit. What ended up happening is all the ad revenue got pulled off of YouTube. And it's like, fuck! And then Trump did not help in that when he got rid of net neutrality, because how net neutrality worked is it treated the internet like a phone line. So that means that whatever so-and-so posted to YouTube, YouTube couldn't be held accountable for that. You have to hold the individual accountable for the illegal shit that they do, and whatever country they do it in, if the laws apply to them there, whatever the case is. So, yeah, we lost the ad revenue because of that, because of the everything is problematic arguments. Everything is problematic. Instead of engaging and going into a debate or discussion, philosophizing back and forth. And I've also noticed that there's a large amount of misinformation, and people believe this shit. They believe the misinformation, and that's contributed to some of the ad revenue disappearing as well. But all those things, ad revenue is gone, and the only thing you can do, and I refuse to do this, is to create a Patreon and ask people to give me money for what I do on YouTube. It's like, I think that if I have enough attention on my channel, the advertisers should be paying me for time to share their product with the range of audience that I have a reach to, or any given YouTuber. And I would particularly see that as they would look at how big the YouTube channel is and what kind of ad agencies will be ran on it. Okay. So one thing I did notice is that despite all this back and forth, everything is problematic to the right stuff, everything is problematic to the alt-left stuff, I started realizing one thing, no matter where you are on the political spectrum, that we all have, that everybody I have talked to has, that from various political places all over the political field, the problem, it seems, that everybody has a problem with is crony capitalism. Whether you're alt-right, regular right, left, alt-left, none of that matters. Everyone is tired of crony capitalism. Everyone is tired of the corporations, or the people who own them, these rich bitches, putting on steel cleats and walking over our backs. And one thing that I want these private owners, and they'll never realize this, they never will, but one thing I would like them to realize is that a lot of the people that work for them, we're not helping ourselves actualize our dreams. You're paying us to help you actualize your dreams. So stop asking your people to sell their immortal soul, if you will, be a complete puppet for your company, for your brand. That's very communistic, by the way. Uniformity, groupthink, language policing. And if you don't do what you're told, then we'll take away your money equals resources. So that's almost essentially being said to be sent off to the gulag. It's like, wow, a lot of the corporations function like communist factions within governments that do not appreciate authoritarianism dictatorships. That's interesting. Maybe we should stop that. But there's a group of people out there that keep saying, no, regulation is bad. Well, then I don't know what the answer to that is. If you can't regulate, but you're tired of them doing whatever they want, because you're not going to tell me you're going to stop shopping at Amazon because they treat their employees like shit. Because they do. They treat their employees like shit. It's just too damn convenient. You can go on your computer or on your phone, order something, and have it delivered to you within 24 hours to a week. That's too damn convenient. Most of the things you find on Amazon are cheaper than almost anywhere else you can find it. And you can find things on Amazon that you can't find anywhere else, like at the stores and super centers and stuff. So don't give me this crap of like, oh, if they treat their employees badly, then we're just not going to shop there, and we should take care of our communities as a personal responsibility. Yeah, people don't do that. They don't do that. People are not everyone is kind-hearted. Not everyone is so giving. Most people are not. So that's why you have social programs, is because you have people that just can't do it. We usually call them disabled. So that's so interesting to me that the alt-left and the alt-right, both of those sides would agree that crony capitalism is poison. And the thing is what I would like to see back, comeback is when you have a dream or an aspiration of something you want to do with your life, that you can work towards that dream and aspiration and actually achieve it. Not just get laughed at and say, welcome to the real world. Or maybe we should stop having companies outsource to other countries, and maybe we could start making some things ourselves. I don't know what the answer is on that. I keep telling people I'm not really as political as you think I am. I'm more discussing philosophies of things, and a lot of politics have a philosophy behind them. And that's why I cover some of it. And I've attacked ideas from the left, I've attacked ideas from the right. To me, a bad idea is just a bad idea. So, I remember when I was young, thinking that the goal here was to move away from uniformity. To move away from that. Most people today have piercings and tattoos, strange haircuts. We all have our own way of individual expression, and I don't like the idea of wearing somebody's emblem and saying, this is how I think, this is the life that I live and breathe. It's like, no, that's not who I am at all. So, I part of this thought process, I was thinking about it earlier, so I'm trying to drag up as many of the talking points as I can, but one of the things that happened here in the United States was, and whether you're on the right or the left, I don't think it really makes a difference. There was this man that was elected president named George W. Bush Jr. He bailed out a bunch of banks. Our Twin Towers collapsed, and then the property rates skyrocketed, and the gas skyrocketed. And from the position that I held at the time, I was a manager for a store, I saw the company react to certain legislations, and things got worse. And I saw a huge snowball effect of just all these escalating prices. And I thought, man, if we don't do something about this, we're going to end up just like Mexico. And they're not really going to have a reason to want to try and get over here illegally, because they'll be jumping into the same shit that they left. It doesn't seem like we're far off from it if the only jobs available, even if you have higher education, are customer service, fast food, warehouse, and distribution. Really already kind of feels that way. It's starting to feel that way when somebody makes $35,000 a year and says that that's not enough money to support themselves. So, I'm sure the right loves George W. Bush Jr. for some of the things that he did. I know most people are against the Patriot Act, and I know Obama used that too, and I think the Patriot Act is unconstitutional and it needs to go. I'm not going to get deep down into the mire of that, though. I'm just pointing out that there has been a series of events that have caused things to go from bad to worse. And that the alt-left and the alt-right and all these different little political categories, one thing I can assure you that we all have in common is that crony capitalism has got to stop. That these rich billionaires have to stop walking all over us and doing whatever they want with little to no accountability. I mean, it's almost like we have forgotten not even the past 100 years. Okay, this stuff that I'm going to talk about happened within less than 100 years ago. The Industrial Revolution. All right, so liberalism won over Marxism in the Industrial Revolution, and it gave way to laws and regulations specifically targeted towards factories and all these businesses springing out that you can't overwork your people, you can't work them to death, and you can't do specific things that are going to harm them in particular ways. So you have to look out for their safety. You can't just let Fred chop his arm off and put it into the hot dogs and say fuck it. You have to do something about it. And I was thinking, well, isn't that really what I came from? I mean, I worked for a company, and I'm going to say their name now because I don't work for them anymore, named Quick Trip. I ended up, because of repetitive motion, it caused my upper trap muscle to spasm, swell up, pinch the nerve cluster in my shoulder. And the doctor said this is an MD said this is a work-related condition, you need to talk to HR about it. I went to HR and said, this is a work-related injury, where do I go from here? Flat out looked at me in the face and said he doesn't have the authority to make that decision. Well, I've got news for you, for anybody out there. An HR representative doesn't have authority over an MD. Not any kind of medical authority. That is ridiculous. And the fact that I couldn't find a single lawyer to take up that case just so they could pay over $3,000 just for physical therapy alone. I didn't even want to think about what an MRI scan would cost to see, like, if there's permanent nerve damage, or if there's a rip or a tear in my upper trap muscle that I need to be concerned about. Because this is one of the things, if it kept happening, my upper trap muscle could have atrophied, and then I would have ended up ripping or tearing my rotary cuff. Or if the nerve got pinched over and over and over again, I could be looking at neuropathy, which I would no longer be able to use my right arm. And certainly, through the entire time, I would just be in absolute pain. And this company took no responsibility, and nobody held them responsible for their actions. And that is what I am worried about this whole AnCap idea. Is that they can do whatever they want and do whatever they feel like. And I don't think it's a matter of, well, they used to care about us, but now all they care about is money. I think it has to do more with deregulation. I think when the deregulation happened is when you started seeing companies not care about their employees and whether they were healthy or whether or not they were damaging their bodies or getting enough sleep. I think it's deregulation where we saw them say, we don't care. We just want the money. And what AnCaps, I think, really need to realize about what they're proposing is that a lot of these people that own companies are not good-hearted. They may be good-hearted people to the people that are close to them, but to the people that work for them, they're just a number on a piece of paper. There's no personal contact, and they'll do almost anything. You can't go around assuming that everyone is a Christian humanitarian. You can't do it, because not everyone is. Let's not forget the atheist humanitarians that exist out there as well. Those do exist. Now, as I said to the alt-right about the whole gay agenda things, like, look, teaching sexualizing children, yeah, I'll stand with you, and I think you'd be surprised how many leftists would stand with you. But the concern, I think, is that what you're calling sexualizing might actually just be teaching tolerance and acceptance, to which your decree is that they don't have the right to do that. Well, I think they do, and I think that you do have the right to condition your child to think that that's wrong. But I think you're conditioning a child to be full of hatred. And I don't know why. And also, I did some research. This is to Chick Micken. I did some research into the homosexual acts being unhealthy. There's no study whatsoever that shows that homosexual acts are unhealthy. None. Not a single one. You cannot die from homosexuality. Now, you brought up HIV, and that's a crap argument. And the reason why it's a crap argument is because HIV or any STD comes from unsafe sexual practices, and even straight people can get them. In the gay scene, yes, HIV is more prominent among homosexual and bisexual males, but there are plenty of homosexual and bisexual males that do not engage in unsafe sexual practices and never get it. That's why it's a crap argument. It's a gross overgeneralization. And especially with drugs on the market like PrEP, you might see that number drop in the next few years significantly. And again, the crony capitalism in the United States rears its ugly head as Ocasio-Cortez, and I know a lot of people out there hate Ocasio-Cortez, but she raised a very valid point. Why is it in the United States it's $1,000, but over in Australia it's only $15 for PrEP? It's a good question. Maybe that has to do with, I don't know, regulation. I think that's what it has to do with, regulation. And I think that's also why Bayer pulled their Esure contraceptive that was responsible for a lot of... we're not just talking about minor physical health problems. We're talking about very drastic physical health problems, like completely destroyed their entire reproductive system and their pelvic bone, and dislocated the bottom column of their spine. Bayer pulled that product out of Europe because of the regulations that Europe has. They could not sell that product. But guess what? They still sell it here. And in fact, there's over 500 class action lawsuits against Bayer for their Esure contraceptive. You can go and look that up in your free time. If you want a hint, look up The Bleeding Edge on Google. It will tell you about, it's the name of a documentary. And they mention a few other things in there too, like cobalt implants, because we all want cobalt poisoning, right? And there was another one. I don't remember what it was. But if we're all against crony capitalism here, then, there has to be some kind of way to hold these powerhouses. Like, the fact that they have more power than the government should be scary. I like the Gothic Republican told me once that he's scared of the government having too much power. Well, you know what terrifies me even more? Is when a company says they have more power than the government, because the company doesn't really have... Well, they have a very different guidelines of rules, regulations, and restrictions than the government does in any Western civilization. Ultimately, the government wants you to have maximum freedoms, and they take away freedoms based on certain aspects. A company is going to take away freedoms based on what profitizes and what doesn't. Think about that. These companies do not need to have the power that they have, and there needs to be something to hold them accountable to their actions. I shouldn't need a lawyer to have the employer that I used to work for do what they need to do as outlined by federal law. Okay, it's not a state law, it's a federal law. Now, if I broke a federal law, I'd be going, and here in the United States, there's a difference between jails and prisons. Prisons are for when you have broken a federal crime. Jails are more state crime. Or I suppose you could also go to prison for extreme cases, like mass murder or something. So, if I broke a federal crime, if I committed a federal crime, I would go to prison. I would have a lawyer to represent me in my sentencing, but not to get out of it. Nobody just goes into the owner, CEO, shareholder's house and says, you have to go to jail because you broke a federal law. Nobody goes and arrests HR people for denying people workers' comp claims. Maybe we should, because there are real victims involved. And secondly, can we stop making everything problematic so that we can create a new industry and make our economy thrive again? Can we stop saying, like, video games are problematic, this movie is problematic, blah, 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 but can we stop that? And same with the alt-right, you need to stop it too, because, like, it's just, you just have a different version of political correctness. I need to see justification. I need to see not just rationality. Anybody can rationalize in it. You can rationalize a fairy tale to be true. I'm talking to you, Christians. I'm talking to the religious folks. So you can rationalize almost anything. But to use logic and reason with facts and evidence, then that's a different story. And chick making homosexuality is not a learned behavior. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely absurd. I don't think straight people choose to be straight. I don't think that you could go and make out with a dude and like it. Okay? So this has been a peculiar rant. Really just kind of wanted to get a video out and talk about the state that I'm seeing things. How the countries are, corporations, all that. And it's really weird, because we all seem to agree that we want to follow our aspirations and our dreams, and we want to be able to get educated to do those things, but somewhere along the line our hand is always smacked, and it's not by the government. It's by the corporate entities. I don't know about you, but it's not my aspiration to work at a warehouse or a distribution center or fast food and customer service. That was not my dream or my aspiration based on the higher education things that I've told you. I've also taken a lot of writing courses as well. So, yeah, I guess it's just food for thought. I don't really have a conclusion. I don't have an answer. I'm just putting that out on the table for everyone to think about. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. I like diversity of thought. So it doesn't matter if you're an alt-left, a regular left, a socialist, a communist, a liberal, or if you're a national socialist, or if you're a conservative Republican, or if you're libertarian, if you're an AnCap. Doesn't matter. I want diversity of thought. I want to know your opinion. So we can look at all of that and we can actually engage in a conversation about the different ideas that are on the table, instead of bitching at each other about all these problematic things, and start having a dialogue. Alright. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell button on any channel you're subscribed to, and if you don't know those procedures already, then you are brand new to the internet. Welcome to YouTube. And with that, I'm out.